Hey guys, it's your girl Kizzy Rock, and yes, Kizzy Rock is my birth given name. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday morning. It's afternoon now. I want to say hey to all my subscribers, new as well as seasoned. I have a word for you. In fact, it's an email response. So I wanted to address a young lady who is talking about her toxic mother in the email. I'm going to use this recording to address toxic people in general and just address it from different angles. So we can lump it all together. All right. So basically, she is 34 and she has been married and divorced twice. Her mother is very toxic. Her father is, she said, very, very quiet. Some men are like really quiet and shy. They don't really like a lot of chaos, so they kind of just accept some things. So she said, her father had just been taking like a lot of abuse from her mother, things like that. She is close to her mother, but she knows it's trauma bonding. Her mother has ruined both of her marriages by being involved too much in the marriage and all that stuff. Now that she is no longer married, the mother is now just all in her life and making her so stressed out, and she feels her mother is a narcissist. All right, so, and again, this is for everybody. You have toxic mamas, you have toxic daddies, you have toxic best friends, you have toxic siblings, you got toxic co-workers. Toxic people is just all around, right? So here's the thing, guys. If you are putting up with toxic behaviors, it's because there's a good chance you haven't healed yet. See, the reason why you could deal with toxic behaviors for so long is because most likely you were toxic yourself. And toxic doesn't mean like you're doing exactly the same thing the person is doing, right? But toxic is toxic. So that behavior at some point was okay with you because you were vibing low. Your frequency was low. Once you get to that place that you have, definitely not the isolation stage. The isolation stage, you're still kind of just you're trying to figure where you're at in the middle of the storm, right? You can't even see right now. So not the isolation season, but definitely the transformation. Then ultimately your healing season, you will not want anyone or anything around you toxic because you're healed now. And once you have been healed, you experience for the first time what peace really is. So you will then protect that. So you won't even allow toxic people in your life. All right, so let's talk about your mother really quickly. Now and again, I believe things are generational conditioning. So maybe your mother is toxic. You said she's full of gossip. She's a narcissist. She was abusive in all ways, etc. You know you need to leave her alone, but you feel like she's your mother. You have to honor her. And it's like biblically, you cannot abort that relationship. This is all things that she said within the email. So again, a lot of these relationships are just generational conditioning, generational norms. Again, if you dig back far enough, then it's probably something has been going on all down the generations prior to you, right? I made a recording the other day about the art of being private. I don't care if it's your mother, your father, your own child. You have to get to the point of understanding that a lot of things in your life, including your personal life, especially your marriage, should be off limits. This is where a lot of people go wrong. You bring people, and I think sometimes people just do it because they're angry in that moment, right? So you're bringing all of this stuff that you and your spouse is going through, and you are bringing it to your mother and asking for advice and putting your parents all in your business. Have you sat down and looked at your parents' relationships? Okay, you said that your mother and your father is in a very, very toxic relationship. She's abusive to him. She emasculates him, etc. So why would you get opinions from your mother respectfully? So if you can acknowledge that their marriage is toxic, why would you get opinions from your mother? So maybe, let's just say, you have not even had an example of a healthy relationship, because a lot of times people don't. Until you get ready and until you start your healing process, You may not have even had an example, but when God knows that you're ready, he will put examples literally right in your face. You won't even have to go looking for it. The examples will be literally right in your face. So ultimately, it sounds like you still have some healing to do. Because if you were raised by toxic parents, that's all you saw. So you have a lot of hurt, a lot of wounds. You got a lot of trauma bonding. You got a lot of generational conditioning. And this is why I always tell people, don't judge people, because people only know what they've experienced. So once you decide that you're ready to go on your transformation and your healing season, that is when you will discover a lot of things. You will discover that a lot of the things that you were taught were wrong. You will discover that a lot of the relationships that you've been a part of, that you played a part as well. Toxic people will blame every single person except themselves. Rather than recognizing they're the common denominator, meaning every relationship of all sorts that you have ended in the same way, then you're a common denominator. And I think that's important for all of us to take inventory on that. And this is why I tell people, stop. When you ask somebody about their ex and why the relationship didn't work out, they will give you this whole laundry list on what their ex didn't do or did do, versus taking accountability for anything or any part that they could have played in the demise of that relationship. That's toxic behavior when you're constantly trying to, one, control other people's lives, two, inserting yourself in other people's lives and demanding people to do certain things, and you're all involved in other people's relationship, regardless if you're asked or not. You're constantly gossiping. You're constantly pointing fingers. All of that falls under the umbrella of just toxic people. So in this season, again, because God is shifting us, if you're aligned properly and you're ready to go, this is why you have a certain type of grace that is given to you right now to release these relationships and be okay with it. Where before, you could never release relationships that are toxic without feeling connected to it. Let it be you feel like you are abandoning people, or that you just need that because it's your norm and your default setting. Now there's a certain grace that it's almost like, you know what, if God removes it, let God do what he do, because obviously he knows some things I don't know. And ultimately that is also because he knows where he's taking you. Your workload will increase. Your spiritual knowledge needs to increase. There's a lot of things on the other side that you're going to have to be responsible for. And that does not, somebody's at my door. That does not, you won't have time to be babysitting toxic people, right? So sis, you're going to have to get to the point where you figure it out. Okay. Now, honestly, like I said, you're probably not going to be able to walk away from any toxic situations until you're healed. You have to heal first. As long as you're still struggling within your healing process, you're going to be attracted to what you are. You're toxic. You're broken. So you're going to be attracted to that. That feels comfortable to you. Because when you start going higher, it's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel, thank you. It's going to feel uncomfortable because that's not what you're used to. But the more and more that you're intentional about sitting in that comfortable place, then you will realize that it was always the proper place for us to be. So heal first, sis. Keep people out of your business, including toxic parents, including toxic best friends. Protect everything that God has graced you with and given you. And just understand, you can love people from a distance. You can love people and still put up healthy boundaries. But again, ultimately, you will not be able to put those boundaries in place until you have healed fully. You guys have a great one. It's your girl.